Clear your desk by the end of the day, Maya. Human resources will handle the exit paperwork. The words on my computer screen blurred as I read them a second time. After 5 years of dedicated service to Summit Edge Logistics, all I received was a cold, impersonal email. 3 days, just 3 days I had taken to bury my father. 3 days of approved bereavement leave. We need people who prioritize their work, the email continued, as if attending my father's funeral had been some optional social gathering I'd casually chosen over filing quarterly reports. I slowly leaned back in my chair, the leather squeaking in the silence of the early morning. The Boise office was mostly empty. Outside, the sky was just beginning to brighten. I had come in early, eager to catch up on work after my brief absence, hoping being productive would keep my mind occupied. My name is Maya Collins, and until approximately 2 minutes ago, I was the regional team lead of the highest performing division at Summit Edge Logistics. At 34, I had built a team that felt like family, not just colleagues. Birthdays, tough times, victories, setbacks, we had lived through them together. They weren't just co-workers, they were my people. I looked around my workspace, the small cactus gifted to me last Christmas, the framed photo of our team at the company retreat, the handwritten thank you notes from colleagues I'd mentored. 5 years of my life, suddenly reduced to a few items that would fit in a cardboard box. The termination notice at the bottom of the email was signed by Robert Hale, my supervisor, the same man who had personally approved my bereavement leave last week. Failure to maintain adequate presence during critical operational periods, it read. Apparently, my father's death had inconveniently fallen inside one of those vague, critical periods. I didn't cry. I didn't slam my fist on the desk. Instead, I pulled out my phone, took a photo of the email, forwarded it to my personal account, and began shutting down my computer. Then I carefully started packing my things. By the time other employees began trickling in, half my desk was empty. Nora Briggs from accounting was the first to notice. Maya, what's happening? She asked, eyes widening at the sight of the box. I've been let go, I said simply. What? Why? Apparently attending my father's funeral wasn't demonstrating proper work priorities. Nora's expression shifted from confusion to outrage. That's ridiculous. Have you talked to Rachel? The regional manager needs to know about this. No, I said quietly as I wrapped my cactus in newspaper. I'm not going to fight it. But I won't forget it either. As more of my team arrived, I saw shock ripple through their faces. Logan Ward, my energetic project coordinator, was the first of my direct reports to hear the news. This is absolute garbage, Logan snapped, but I shook my head. It's done, I said softly. Robert made his decision. But the Newbrook merger, we just finished it last month. Profits are up 18% because of your planning. Apparently, I said with a sad smile, that wasn't enough. By 9:30, all 7 of my core team members had gathered around my desk. Caleb Stone, usually stoic, now looked ready to punch a hole in the wall. Riley Hartman was openly crying. Behind them stood Drew, Sienna, Mara, Jade, and Tess, each with expressions ranging from disbelief to fury. You can't leave, Riley insisted. The Wilson account renewal is next week. None of us knows the system like you do. I taped my box shut. Robert should have considered that before firing me for attending my father's funeral. A heavy silence fell. Then a sharp, cold voice sliced through it. I need everyone back at their desks, Robert Hale said. My fingers were still trembling slightly as I closed my laptop. I thought the moment would feel final, like a door slamming shut, but instead, all I could think was, did I just make the biggest mistake of my life? That's when Cole appeared beside my cubicle. Aria, are you okay? His voice was soft, but the worry in his expression was unmistakable. I swallowed hard. I got an email from Lian. Cole's eyes flicked toward my blank computer screen, as if he already sensed something was wrong. What kind of email? I hesitated, then forced the words out. I've been terminated. Effective immediately. For a moment, he didn't even breathe. What? You? Aria, that's ridiculous. You're one of the best people in this entire department. I tried to smile, but it felt like my face had forgotten how to move. Apparently, dedication doesn't matter. Taking 3 days of bereavement leave was enough to upset someone, I guess. Cole clenched his jaw. Lian has always had some weird fixation with you. And Mr. Beckett, he's always praised your work. This doesn't add up. Hearing Mr. Beckett's name sent a strange ache through my chest. He was the one person in the company who always seemed to see me, appreciate me, trust me. And not once had he reached out today. Come on, Cole finally said. I'll walk you to HR. You shouldn't go alone. I nodded. Thanks. The HR department stepping into HR felt like walking into a refrigerator, cold, white, and unwelcoming. Glass partitions, silent keyboards, fake professional smiles. It felt like a place where decisions were made without hearts involved. Lian Foster sat behind her perfectly polished desk, looking up only when we approached. Aria, she said bluntly. Not a greeting. Not even a fake smile. Lian, I want to understand what happened, I said, forcing my voice to stay steady. Why was I suddenly terminated? She slid a folder across the desk toward me. Your position has been dissolved. I stared at her, stunned. Dissolved? We've been drowning in workload for weeks. Are you saying the entire department is being cut? She didn't blink. This is a company-wide strategy decision. It's nothing personal. Cole stepped forward. But her record is spotless. And she literally just returned from a family funeral, Mr. Andrews. Lian cut him off sharply. This is an internal HR matter. Please do not interfere. Her voice had that polished coldness that scraped against my patience. Fine, I said quietly. I'll sign whatever I need to sign. But I want to speak with Mr. Beckett. This time, Lian's expression shifted ever so slightly, tension, annoyance, maybe even alarm. He's unavailable, she answered instantly. My heartbeat quickened. Unavailable, or you don't want me speaking to him? Cole shot me a meaningful glance, as if he'd caught it too. Lian straightened stiffly. Aria, please collect your severance documents. Security will escort you out. Escort? Like I was a threat. Or a criminal. The hallway as Cole and I walked out, the hallway felt heavy. People glanced at me with pity, or avoided my eyes altogether, pretending they hadn't heard the news spreading like wildfire. Cole, I whispered, something about this feels wrong. This isn't a normal termination. He nodded slightly, lowering his voice. I agree. Something's off. I'll try to look into a few things tonight. I'll let you know if I find anything. I gave him a soft, grateful smile. Thank you. But deep down, one question pulsed louder than the rest. Does Mr. Beckett really not know what's happening, or is he part of it? I stopped near the building's glass exit doors, the brown envelope still clutched in my hand. The papers inside weren't just documents, they were proof of my humiliation. Proof that after years of loyalty, I'd been discarded over something as human as grief. Cole stood beside me, worry still written all over his face. Aria, come upstairs for a minute. To the rooftop. You need some air. Anne? I need to tell you something. The rooftop. Our unofficial escape spot. Breaks, venting sessions, long conversations about our future plans, everything happened there. The idea of going there one last time twisted something sharp in my chest. But I nodded. Okay. We took the elevator up. As the doors opened, the cool air wrapped around me instantly, fresh, calming, almost comforting. Almost. Cole leaned against the railing, taking a slow breath before looking at me seriously. Aria, you need to know something. My stomach tightened. What is it? Last night, there was a meeting between Mr. Beckett and Leanne. A heated one. My pulse jumped. You're sure? I didn't hear everything, he said, but I saw them. Leanne looked furious. And she kept saying things like, "You're being too soft, this isn't how we handle things, you can't make emotional decisions." I stared at him, stunned. So she was arguing with him about me. Cole nodded slowly. It sounded like it. And Beckett said something like, "Aria is a valuable asset." My heart stopped. He said that? Yes. Cole's voice softened. He wasn't angry at you. He was defending you. But the warmth that should have come from those words never arrived. Instead, a heavier dread settled over me. Then why didn't he reach out today? Why didn't he stop this? Cole looked uneasy. That's the part one don't understand. A gust of wind blew my hair across my face. I tucked it back, trying to breathe evenly. What else did you hear? I asked. Cole exhaled slowly, as if choosing his next words carefully. At one point, Leanne slammed a file on the table and told him, "You have no idea who she's dealing with." I froze. Who I'm dealing with? What does that even mean? Cole shook his head. I don't know. But it didn't sound like she was talking about the company. It felt personal. A shiver ran down my spine. Personal. That word echoed too loudly. All morning, something had felt wrong, beyond company politics, beyond paperwork. A shadow behind everything. Something invisible, but very real. And what did Beckett say to that? I whispered. He didn't say anything, Cole replied. He looked upset. Conflicted. I pressed a hand against my forehead. So the final decision. Who pushed it through? Cole didn't hesitate. Leanne. Completely. It was her call. And she pushed it hard. That didn't surprise me, but it still felt like a punch. He continued, his voice low. Aria. I think someone fed her something. A complaint. A rumor. Something false. Because Leanne doesn't just fire top performers overnight without a reason. But who would do that? I asked, though a dozen possibilities rushed through my head. Cole wrapped his arms over his chest, thinking. I don't know. But I'll find out. I'll start with the system logs tonight. Maybe someone accessed your file. My breath hitched. Cole, you could get in trouble. He shrugged. You're my friend. And something about this is wrong. I can feel it. Silence hung between us until Cole stepped closer. Aria, whatever this is, you're not crazy. You're not imagining it. Something deliberate happened here. I swallowed hard, staring at the city below, the cars, the lights, the world that kept moving while mine was falling apart. Cole, I whispered, what if this isn't just a firing? What if it's something bigger? He didn't laugh, didn't dismiss it. He just nodded. Then we find out. The rooftop wind was cool, but the heat building inside me had nothing to do with weather. It was anger now, sharp, focused, pulsing through my veins. Grief had exhausted me, shock had numbed me, but anger. Anger brought clarity. Cole stood beside me, arms crossed, eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Aria, maybe you just need some time, he said softly. Maybe Mr. Beckett will reach out. Maybe he's dealing with something else. I shook my head. Cole, he could have sent one text. One message. Anything. He didn't argue, because he knew I was right. I exhaled shakily. I want answers. Real ones. And I'm not leaving this building until I get them. Cole hesitated. You're thinking of going to Beckett's office? I nodded. Aria, he said gently, security is literally looking for you to escort you out. If they catch you, then they catch me, I muttered. What are they going to do? Fire me again? Cole couldn't help a tiny laugh. Okay, fair. But his smile faded quickly. Just, be careful. Please. I touched his arm. I will. The hallway the elevator ride down was silent. Every floor beat felt louder than the last. When the doors opened on the executive level, the atmosphere shifted instantly, sleek glass, faint cologne, quiet corridors where only high-level staff walked. I swallowed my nerves. You deserve answers, I reminded myself. As I approached Mr. Beckett's office, I noticed something odd. His door, usually slightly ajar, was completely shut. And the blinds, normally open, were drawn tight. I knocked softly. Nothing. I knocked again. Still nothing. Just when I was about to leave, I heard voices. Muffled. Low. Urgent. One of them belonged to Leanne Foster. I stepped closer. You promised me this wouldn't escalate, she was saying sharply. Then Beckett's voice, controlled but strained. I didn't promise anything. I said I'd review the file before making a final decision. You forced the termination before I even had the chance. My breath caught. So he didn't approve it. He didn't even know it was finalized. Leanne hissed, you're too attached to her. That compromises your judgment. My heart slammed against my ribs. Attached. Beckett replied, voice lower, heavier. My judgment is not compromised. Aria is a dedicated employee. And what you're doing feels. Suddenly the door jerked open. I stumbled forward, nearly losing my balance. Leanne stood there, eyes widening as she saw me. What are you doing here? Before I could speak, Beckett stepped into view behind her. His expression froze the second our eyes met, shock first, then something else. Relief? Guilt? Concern? I couldn't tell. Aria, he said softly. Why aren't you home? I straightened, trying to steady my voice. Because I need the truth. Leanne immediately stepped between us. You're not allowed on this floor anymore. Security has been notified. I ignored her, eyes fixed on Beckett. Did you approve my termination? His jaw tensed. Aria, did you? I demanded. A long silence. Too long. Finally, he exhaled. No, something inside me cracked open, anger mixed with vindication. Leanne's face turned red. This conversation is inappropriate. She should not be here. I stepped forward. You pushed it through behind his back. Why? What are you hiding? Leanne's eyes narrowed dangerously. You have no idea what you're involved in. Then explain it, I snapped. She didn't. Instead, she reached for the phone on Beckett's desk. Security to the executive floor, she said calmly. My stomach twisted. Mr. Beckett's voice turned sharp. Leanne, that's enough. But she ignored him. Footsteps thundered down the hallway. Mason, the security guard from earlier, appeared with two others. Cole's warning echoed in my mind. Beckett looked torn, conflicted, like he wanted to say something important but couldn't, not here, not now. Mason stepped forward. Aria, you need to come with us. I backed up instinctively. Beckett's lips parted, a quiet whisper escaping that only I caught, Aria. I didn't want this. My heart pounded. If he didn't want this, if he didn't approve it, then what the hell was happening? And why was Leanne so desperate to keep me away from him? Mason's footsteps echoed in the hallway, steady and deliberate. The other two security guards moved behind him, forming a silent barrier between me and the elevator. For a moment, the entire hallway felt small, too small, like the walls were closing in. Aria, Mason said gently, let's not make this harder than it has to be. He wasn't rude. He wasn't aggressive. But this wasn't about politeness anymore. Behind him, Leanne Foster's expression tightened, her lips pressed into a thin, victorious line, like this was exactly the outcome she'd wanted. And Mr. Beckett. He didn't take his eyes off me. Not once. There was conflict in his gaze, frustration, guilt, something deeper I couldn't fully interpret. But whatever it wasn't indifference. Aria, he repeated softly, please just step aside. We can talk later. Talk later. There wasn't going to be a later. Not if Leanne had her way. I shook my head. No. Not until someone tells me why this is happening. Leanne scoffed. You were terminated. That's all there is to it. That's not an explanation, I shot back. You pushed it through behind Beckett's back. Why? Her eyes flickered, annoyance, maybe even panic, but she hid it quickly. You need to leave the premises, she insisted. Mason stepped closer, and I instinctively stepped back. But Beckett suddenly spoke, his voice sharp, Mason, wait. Everyone froze. Mason paused cautiously. Sir? Beckett exhaled slowly, then moved around Leanne, positioning himself deliberately between her and me. This isn't the time or place for security involvement, he said firmly. Leanne stared at him like he'd just betrayed her. You cannot undo the process. She is no longer an employee. He met her glare with ice. And that doesn't justify treating her like a threat. Mason held his breath, clearly unsure what to do. Every guard in the hallway waited. I felt the tension coil tightly between the three of us, Leanne, Beckett, me, like a storm about to break. Then Cole appeared at the far end of the hallway. Aria, he called, breathless, eyes wide as he jogged toward us. Leanne's head snapped in his direction. Mr. Andrews, this does not concern you. Actually, Cole said, out of breath, it does. He reached us and lowered his voice. Aria. I checked the logs. My stomach dropped. Beckett turned sharply. What logs? Cole looked between us, trying to decide who he could trust. His gaze finally settled on me. Someone accessed Aria's HR profile last week, he said quietly. From an unassigned terminal. After hours. And they uploaded a complaint under an anonymous ID. My heart hammered so hard I could barely hear anything else. A complaint. I whispered. Cole nodded. A serious one. The type that triggers immediate review. Leanne's voice sliced through the air. Enough? Cole, you're stepping far outside your role. Cole ignored her completely. Aria, the complaint wasn't written by a supervisor. It wasn't written by a co-worker. And it wasn't flagged for verification. That only happens when someone in HR. Stop right now, Leanne snapped. I stepped forward. Say it, Cole. He met my eyes. It only happens when someone in HR overrides the system. All eyes turned to Leanne. Her face went pale, just for a moment, before she regained her composure. This is absurd, she said. He is misinterpreting internal data he had no right to access. Beckett stepped closer to her, voice suddenly low and dangerous. Leanne, what complaint? She didn't answer. Leanne, he repeated, what complaint did you file against Aria? Her stare hardened. I don't have to justify myself to you. Oh, but you do, Beckett said, taking another step. Because you terminated someone under my authority. And now you're refusing to explain why. Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. Cole whispered, Aria. I think this goes deeper than a complaint. Someone wanted you gone before Beckett could intervene. Leanne finally turned to me, her eyes cold, calculating. You think you want the truth, Aria, she said quietly. But trust me, you don't. A chill crawled down my spine. She knew something. Something she was willing to break protocol for. Something she was willing to risk her position over. Beckett stepped between us. You're done deciding what happens here, Leanne. She didn't move. But her smile, small, bitter, confident, was more terrifying than any threat. Then I hope you're ready, she murmured, for what comes next. My pulse spiked. What comes next? What did she mean? And why did it feel like this was only the beginning? For a few seconds, no one moved. No one breathed. Leanne's words echoed through the hallway like a warning bell. I hope you're ready for what comes next. A chill crawled down my spine. I didn't know what she meant, but the confidence in her voice, that terrified me more than anything. Beckett's jaw tightened. Leanne, you're done for today. Please leave the floor. She didn't budge. Instead, she looked directly at him, her expression strangely pitying. You still think you can protect her, she whispered. But you can't. Beckett stiffened. Leave? Now? This time, she obeyed, but not because she feared him. She walked away slowly, almost gracefully, as if she held every advantage and knew it. Her heels clicked down the hall until she disappeared around the corner. Cole exhaled shakily. I told you. I told you something was wrong. But I wasn't listening, my eyes were locked on Beckett. He finally turned toward me, and for the first time since everything started, he looked raw. No mask. No control. Just a man caught in the middle of something he couldn't fix. Aria, he whispered, I didn't approve your termination. I wasn't even informed until it was already processed. I know, I said, my voice trembling. Cole told me. His eyes flicked to Cole with a flicker of surprise, but he didn't question it. Not now. I tried to stop her, Beckett continued, stepping closer, but she bypassed my clearance. Only someone with deep administrative access could do that. Cole nodded. Exactly. She had full override capability. I swallowed hard. But why? Why would she do that? Why target me specifically? Beckett hesitated. And that hesitation hurt more than anything. Aria, he said softly, there's something you don't know. I stared at him, my heart pounding. Then tell me. Before he could speak, Mason cleared his throat gently. Sir, this area is still restricted. What do you want us to do? Beckett didn't look away from me. Stand down. Mason nodded, and stepped back. Cole whispered, Beckett, if you know something, he cut him off. This isn't about the company. This is about something outside corporate structure. Something old. He paused. Something that should have stayed buried. A shiver ran through me. Something buried. He took a slow breath. Aria, this goes back to before you started working here. Before I even bought the company. My stomach twisted. What does that have to do with me? Everything, he said quietly. I stared at him, stunned. What are you talking about? He opened his mouth, but the elevator dinged. We all turned. The doors slid open. And 3 men in dark suits stepped out. Not security. Not employees. Strangers. Their badges, black, unmarked, hung from their pockets like silent threats. The tallest one scanned the hallway and said in a calm, flat voice, "Where is Ms. Aria Hale?" My breath stopped. Beckett immediately moved in front of me. "She's under my supervision. You don't have jurisdiction here." The man's expression didn't change. "We are not here for you, Mr. Beckett. Stand aside." Cole whispered under his breath, "What the hell?" The man in front stepped closer. "Ms. Hale, please come with us. You need to answer a few questions regarding a pending inquiry." I felt dizzy. "What inquiry?" He said the words with chilling precision, "Your connection to the incident 3 years ago." My heart dropped. 3 years ago. A year before I joined the company. A year before I'd ever met Beckett. "You must be mistaken," I whispered. "I wasn't involved in anything 3 years ago." The man's gaze didn't waver. "Records indicate otherwise." Beckett's voice hardened. "She goes nowhere with you." "We are not asking," the man replied. "We have orders." He reached into his coat. Mason tensed, ready to move. Cole grabbed my arm protectively. "And Beckett?" Beckett stepped fully in front of me, voice low and lethal. "If you touch her, you'll have far bigger problems than your orders." For the first time, the man paused. Not because he was afraid of Beckett, but because Beckett wasn't supposed to know whatever this was. The air thickened with unspoken threats. Finally, the man spoke again, voice colder than before. "Ms. Hale, if you don't come voluntarily, we'll escalate." My pulse raced. Something was deeply, terribly wrong. And whatever happened 3 years ago, whatever these men thought I was involved in, it was the real reason behind everything. The complaint. The override. The termination. Leanne's warning. Beckett's secrecy. This wasn't about my job. This was about my past. A past I didn't remember threatening me in the present. The courtroom felt colder than any winter morning I'd ever lived through. Not because of the temperature, but because every moment, every whisper, every shifting paper felt like judgment aimed straight at me. I sat beside my attorney, hands clasped together so tightly my knuckles ached. Across the room, Mr. Beckett sat with a calmness that made my stomach twist. As if everything happening was just another routine business meeting for him. Cole slipped quietly into the back row. Even from a distance, I could feel his steady presence. A reminder that I wasn't fighting alone. My lawyer leaned toward me. "Deep breath, Aria. We've built a strong case. Rowan's testimony will be the turning point." I nodded, but my heartbeat still thundered in my chest. The judge entered, and proceedings resumed. The opposing attorney stepped forward with a smile that was far too confident. "Your Honor, Vertex Transport Systems maintains that Ms. Aria Graves willingly violated security protocol. Any termination or digital lockout she experienced was simply standard procedure." Standard procedure. I wanted to laugh. Or scream. My lawyer stood. "Your Honor, we are prepared to call our final witness. Rowan Hale." Rowan walked in, visibly nervous but determined. He adjusted his glasses as he took the stand. The oath was given, he raised his hand. And then everything slowed. "Mr. Hale," my lawyer began, "you were part of the IT department at Vertex, correct?" "Yes," Rowan said, voice steadying. "I oversaw system security logs, employee access, and data audits." "And were you on duty the day Ms. Graves' account was terminated?" "I was." A ripple of tension moved through the courtroom. "Please explain to the court what you observed." Rowan exhaled deeply. "Ms. Graves' account was manually disabled. Not by automated policy. Not by HR protocol. It was done using an executive access override. A murmur spread through the crowd. My lawyer nodded. And who has that level of access? Rowan glanced at the judge. Only two people. Myself. And Mr. Beckett. My breath caught. And did you disable her account? My lawyer asked. No. I did not. Do the logs indicate who executed the override? Yes, Rowan said, swallowing. The logs show that Mr. Beckett did. Mr. Beckett shifted slightly, but his expression remained unreadable. The judge leaned forward. Mr. Beckett, is this true? His attorney quickly stood. Your Honor, we object, but the judge cut him off. Answer the question. Silence. Then Beckett spoke, calm as ever. I took precautionary action based on internal concerns. Nothing more. Internal concerns, my lawyer shot back. Ms. Graves had just returned from her father's funeral. And your concerns began the same morning. Beckett didn't respond. The judge looked displeased. My lawyer continued, Your Honor, we have email records, timestamps, and security logs proving this was retaliation. Ms. Graves took 3 days of approved bereavement leave. When she returned, she was targeted, blocked from her workstation, escorted out of the building, and terminated without cause. I stared down at my hands, breath shaky. Hearing the truth spoken aloud hurt more than I expected. But it also felt like a weight lifting. After further questioning, Rowan stepped down. Cole gave him a subtle nod of gratitude. 2 hours of legal arguments followed, sharp words thrown back and forth, accusations countered with evidence, but in the end, the judge's voice cut through everything. Given the evidence and testimonies, the court rules in favor of the plaintiff, Ms. Aria Graves. Vertex Transport Systems is found guilty of wrongful termination and retaliatory action. The world froze. Then the dam broke inside me, relief, exhaustion, vindication all swirling together. Cole rushed forward, hugging me before I could even stand fully. You did it, he whispered. Aria, you actually did it. Tears finally spilled from my eyes. Not because I'd won, but because I'd survived. As we walked out of the courtroom, sunlight hit my face. Warm. Real. A reminder that life was still waiting for me. Cole grinned. So, what now? I wiped my eyes and smiled back. Now? I start over. On my terms this time. And for the first time in months, I believed it.